Okay, YouTube, here's part 2 where I got cut off on the last video, and unfortunately I met my limit on the storage on my device here. Sorry about that. But here is part 2 to the follow-up video of the Kings Island history. And this time I'm in my beautiful kitchen. So I thought we'd do it in the kitchen today. And despite the mess, we had dinner this evening and everything, I haven't cleaned it up yet. So let's get on with this real quick, because there's still going to be another long video, unfortunately, because there's just so many rides to cover with Kings Island. So please comment below again your likes and dislikes, whatever, on this video, and please share with a friend. Please subscribe. If you do subscribe to me, I will subscribe to your channel as well. With that being given, let's start in the second part. Let's start back with the vortex. I can't remember what I was talking about last on vortex, but I know I did talk about where I was on vortex, tested, ready to run. This here is an employee newsletter, what they give out, Kings Island employees, and this is back in 1987. So, and it has a lot of different things in here. I don't know how well you can see this, but there's just some, pretty good things in here. There's Don Helbig right there on the racer, and right there he is. He's the one that holds the racer championship. As a matter of fact, if I get a little closer, maybe you can might be able to pause it and see it. Leave it there for a second, but that's Don Helbig there. And Don still works with Cedar Fair. He works at Kings Island, and he currently does, is it the, I forgot what he does over there. He works with the people, public relations, okay. And there's Saltwater Circus, remember that? Sponsored by Coca-Cola years ago. Yep, they still had a Saltwater Circus back then. And look at the sponsors they had back then. They sponsored the different rides, like Kodak on there. Remember Kodak? You don't even hear of Kodak anymore, but they used to sponsor the Eiffel Tower at Kings Island. And then was it the other one? NCR's on here. Firestone used to do the trams. I know I mentioned earlier Ohio, but after Ohio quit doing the tram service, sponsoring them, it became Firestone. And let's see, Delta Airlines was official airline, and Chevrolet was official car of Kings Island. The IAMS company, which still does the daycare center over at Kings Island. Excuse me. And then Coca-Cola, of course, they did the Saltwater Circus. They was the big sponsor of Saltwater Circus over there. Pampers, they also do infant care. Back then, remember Super X Drugs? They're defunct now, but they was bought out by CVS. But Super X Drugs used to do the first aid over at the park back then. And then Encyclopedia Britannica, remember those? They did the wild animal safari. But yeah, they're listed right here where they did the animal safari, animal habitat. They're gone, pretty much. You get on the internet now, you got your encyclopedias on the internet. Who needs a book now, right? Don't need no more books. So anyway, that's the end of that. But anyway, the vortex, like I shared in the last video, I was first rider on that vortex, and we had a great time. Going back, I'm going to try to buzz through this a little quicker than I did the last video, because I know I don't want to bore you with this video. And if you stay with the video, hopefully you can reminisce with some of the history in this. And please share some of that with me down below if you would. If you'd like to take the time out, share some. I would love to hear your stories as well. And also, I will tell you about my employment with them as well at Kings Island during my tenure at the park. Do you remember the motion theater? It was in the back. It became a laser tag arena. That used to sit right exactly where Zodiac used to stand, and Flight Commander used to stand on that same pad. Okay, the Flight Commander used to sit in that area. Now the antique cars, the new antique cars, are sitting there right now. So that's where the new antique cars are sitting. The Dinosaurs Alive, that was a short experience at Kings Island. I thought they would have kept it a little longer, but I was really shocked to see them taking it out. But of course, it came and went. A lot of people nowadays, I don't think the kids are too much into dinosaurs that much, so much. Then there are fireworks. They're still doing fireworks. They've been doing it ever since they first opened the park, and they're still doing fireworks. Of course, they do it on nights. They're only open 10 p.m. and later. for the fireworks, but they still put on a pretty decent little firework display. And now they got it synchronized with lasers and lights and stuff that's on the International Street with the new fountain, where they redid the Royal Fountain. So now they've got, you know, a nicer program, a better setup, and more music simulation, and then they can change it at Christmas time as well. And with them doing the new fountain the way they did, now all the components are there, and it'd be a lot easier for them to just switch it over and turn it to ice immediately. So it's going to be a lot faster, quicker, and easier for Winterfest setup. They won't have to bring all that extra equipment in, and, you know, the refrigeration equipment to put in there and freeze the ice and blah, blah, blah. It's done. It's there. So that's the reason why they went ahead and changed the fountain, because of that one big reason right there. That was the main reason why they did the fountains. And I look for King's Dominion to do the same. It's coming. Flight of Fear, the indoor coaster. Well, of course, it used to be the Outer Limits when it first started. I think that name is going to go away next year. I think that they're going to rename the Flight of Fear to either Orion or Polaris. And I think the new Giga Coaster, the projected new Giga Coaster, is either going to be Polaris or Orion. And I think it's going to be Polaris for the Giga and Orion for the new for the Flight of Fear. It's going to be redone, and it's going to be renamed as well. And I think the reason why is because they're going to make it a space-themed area. So that area is going to be a space-themed, like, little spot there, like a little theming area, and it's going to be a space theme. That's what I do believe. Okay. Excuse me. Firehawk, of course, everybody. A lot of people miss Firehawk. I myself, I don't, because I'm a heavier person. The restraints were a lot rougher on me. So for the younger people, the skinnier people, yes, I'm sure you guys love Firehawk, and it wasn't as harsh with you, but the larger people, it was. And I hate to see it go, because it was a decent coaster. I thought. I mean, it was a fun coaster, but it was kind of rough. I mean, not rough, but it was just harsh with the harnesses, the way they were designed for those larger people. It was pretty uncomfortable. So, but I can understand your reasons for Firehawk to be gone. But you got to understand, it was a Vekoma. It wasn't a very long life type roller coaster, and that coaster did have a death on it when it was at Geauga Lake. It used to be Six Flags Geauga Lake, Ohio, Six Flags Ohio, up in Aurora, Ohio. And the ride was called, actually it was painted green. It used to be green, and it was called, my mind just went blank, X-Flight. It used to be called X-Flight at Six Flags Geauga Lake, Ohio. And once Cedar Fair took the park over, when they bought the park from Six Flags, they downsized and took a lot of the coasters out. Dominator used to be there. That's a great forest coaster. It went to King's Dominion. Man, I wish that one would have came to King's Island and they would have got Firehawk. But Dominator is a great forest coaster. And King's Dominion, you've got it. So you got lucky. We got the Firehawk, and now the Firehawk's gone. But yes, there was a death on that roller coaster. And it happened during Six Flags while they had ownership of that park. But anyway, we ended up getting a Firehawk. They repainted it red and yellow and sent it to us. Of course, I mentioned the Cuddle Up before, and the old Dodgems, and then they made the big, larger Dodgems. Spirit of 76, that was the flying scooter ride, the original flying scooters. Now we got a new version in Planet Snoopy now, which is made by Larson. And we had the original version, which was made years ago, and is much, much better, because you used to be able to take them and they would swing real high and you could snap it. And you people out there know what I mean by snapping it, the older people that knows. You can snap it, and man, I mean, it's kind of scary, because it made the whole ride kind of shake, you know, but it was really neat because you can snap it. And guess what? That ride is still in function. And it's still running, and it is at Carowinds in North Carolina, at the sister park at Carowinds. They did receive it after Paramount, whenever they owned Kings Island. They did take it out, and they moved it to that park, and they inherited the Spirit of 76 flying scooter ride. So, but that's where it's at. Unfortunately, we lost it to them. Another a Trabant style ride, Wheel of Fortune. That was another ride. If you watch, it It used to be over next to the small log flume, Kings Mills log flume, which is now Race for Your Life Charlie Brown. Wheel of Fortune, that was a fun little ride. It went forwards and backwards. And on the Brady Bunch, you can watch Alice and Florence get off of that. And they sit there and they was like, oh gosh, you know. So anyway, it was a pretty good ride. I liked it. Anyway, that ride went out and it went to Fantasy Farm Amusement Park in Middletown, Ohio. And it was there until that park went defunct. And now that ride has been relocated up to Connecticut, at a park in Connecticut now, and it still operates up there today. Kings Mills Log Flume, and also known as Race for Your Life Charlie Brown. And also, I think it was Wild Thornberries at one time. But I wish that they would put that back in as a Rivertown attraction and not a Planet Snoopy attraction, because it really was originally a Rivertown attraction. And it's still there, still in operation. And that ride is a very old ride. Actually, it was a first ride at Kings Island in '72. And it operated, I believe, 3 seasons at Coney Island down in Cincinnati before they closed up and the rides were shipped to Kings Island. That's where it came from. The Beast. I love the Beast. I'll tell you right now, that's still the biggest, baddest roller coaster, I still think, on the planet. Okay, the Beast is awesome. It's a great ride. It's a fast one. They have slowed it down quite a bit. They put trim brakes on it over the years. Years ago, they had sled brakes. If you're older, you know, like me, you would understand what the sled brakes were versus the trim brakes and the new brakes that they have now. Because back then it was all done by like sled type brakes, a little different than what they were back. It's done a lot different now from what it was back in the day. And then I'm glad to see that the colors this year came back to the original colors of the Beast back in 1979 when it first opened. And the only difference is back then there was 4 seats per car, and this one here is 3 seats. Okay, now there are 3 seats. They used to be 4 seats per car. And of course back then they didn't have it was a total bench seat across. It didn't have it just had the one single bar down and didn't even have seatbelts back then. So that's something else too since it's changed. Diamondback, it's a great coaster. I was so happy to see that one come in. That's a very good smooth roller coaster. Again, that's a great coaster and a great B&M investment. And I'm glad that we have that. It's a really good coaster. How about Kenton's Cove Killboats Canal? Remember that big log ride? It used to be back by the Beast next to the Rivertown Potato Works stand. Yes, the Potato Works stand. That's where I worked at. I worked there for 1985, 86, 87, and 88, and into 89. And I loved working there. In the last part of the season, I got to go work on the Beast crew for a little bit to help out because they were shorter ride operators toward the end of the season, so I did help out on the Beast crew. And a couple times I helped with the Vortex crew, but mostly I was on the Beast crew whenever they needed me, if they were short on ride operators at the end of the season. Had a great time though. I loved working on the Beast crew. That was fun. And remember the Beast used to have all them queue lines. Remember you'd have a 4-hour wait. I mean, remember those days? Those days were true, and they used to have a lot more queue lines than what they have now. If you're old like me, you remember they used to have 2 more great big sets of queue line area, like big old blocks of queue lines, you know, and those are all gone. You know, now they don't use all those. You know, they don't have those queue lines anymore. And they still have a few queue lines, but not like what they used to. If you remember back in the day, and the line would always be all the way back to the Eiffel Tower, and you got a 4-hour wait. Yeah, I remember them days. But those were the days for sure. The Killboat Canal, they had the double chute, and they would skip on the water at the bottom. It was really fun, very fun ride. I hated to see Paramount take them out, and then they put that stupid Tomb Raider ride in that didn't work with a shit. The thing kept breaking down, always breaking down, and finally they just took it out. They just couldn't get it to operate correctly, so whatever. The train, oh, I love the train. I'm a big train nut. I love trains. The steam trains there at Kings Island are awesome. My favorite one is the blue one, the blue train, and the red cars. The green train and the green cars. Green's not my favorite color, so I mean it's a pretty train. Don't get me wrong, but I favor the blue one And the red car is over the green train any day of the week. The train, of all the years I've worked at Kings Island, and all the years of knowing, Kings Island has never had a train derailment. Now, that's pretty good. That's a really good safety record. They have never had a derailment with their train that I am aware of. So, and I've worked there for quite a few seasons, and me working right with the train engineers and stuff, I would have heard, and I would have known if something bad would happen, of course, but there's never been a derailment that I am aware of. So they really do keep up the maintenance on that ride very, very well. So I have to say Kings Island's got damn good maintenance, okay? Not just with the train people, but, with the train engineers and stuff, not with them working on the train, but with overall the whole park. The maintenance team is really good and very safe. Remember the old ski bar arcade there in Rivertown? The old one that's torn down now. It used to sit back there where the Diamondback queue line starts. The entrance of Diamondback, there used to be a ski bar arcade right there. That was really old. And they used to have like mining for gold. They used to have like little pans you can mine for gold and stuff. It was like an old time thing. It fit in real well with Rivertown. So back in the day, that was really nice. And for some of you guys that used to play games, Fascination. Do you remember Fascination? It was at Kings Island for several years. I can't remember exactly how many years they had it, but they had it where the rock shop used to be. It used to be the Cuttlebug ride there, and it was only there for like 2 or 3 seasons, and then they put a Fascination in there, and they had a Fascination there for a short time, and they had the Dodgems right next to it. And then eventually they made it into the rock shop, and they took Fascination out. But that was where you roll the balls underneath the glass, and it goes up, and then you got to get like a straight line either way to make a bingo. And then the first one to get a bingo would win. And there'd be like 60 different alleys, like 60 different chairs where you sit at. So first one to get the line would win. So win prizes. It's a pretty nice little thing. Cheap. Only costs 25 cents to play. It's really cheap. And we talked about the Rivertown Arcade. How about the Enchanted Voyage? I'll tell you what, that was the best ride, I think, in the whole park overall. The original Enchanted Voyage with the boats. You can get on there. It was between 10 to 15 minute ride. Nice and cool. You go in there a hot summer day. It was a nice, relaxing boat ride. It set 9 people in a boat and just float through the little thing and enjoy the music and Scooby-Doo and Flintstones, and I mean they had all the original old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and it was Cartoon Land. And out front it was shaped like a big old television there with big antennas. Remember those big antennas? And it used to have a snail out there. It used to say, "Have a good day, have a good day." Well, that snail is now at Jungle Jim's in Fairfield, Ohio, at the grocery store. He bought that snail, and that snail still sits down there. And also, he bought a blue elephant that used to spout out some water. It was a fountain that was set over in Hanna-Barbera Land. That big elephant also sits down there at Jungle Jim's. And Jungle Jim's also bought all the monorail cars from the Wild Animal Habitat. And he has all of the monorail trains and track and all at his location in Fairfield. And he also has some at Eastgate over on the other side of Cincinnati, as well at the second Jungle Jim's location. So that's really a lot to know there. But the Enchanted Voyage ended up becoming all Smurfs back in the 80s. They took out all the cartoon character, Hanna-Barbera characters, and they switched it over to all Smurfs throughout the whole thing. And it was la 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 all the way through. And I don't know. I was really torn over that. I mean, I liked the old Scooby and Shaggy and Flintstones and all the Hanna-Barbera characters. I liked them better than I did the Smurfs. I mean, the Smurfs ride was okay, but it wasn't like the original Enchanted Voyage. So, but Smurfs ride came in, and then they took that out and took the boats out altogether, revamped it, and made it into Phantom Theater. Now that was good. I did like Phantom Theater, and I like it better than what I do now. And now it's Boombasters on Boo Hill. So it's not as good now as it once was. Phantom Theater was much better than what it is now. But I can see the understanding that they put laser guns in there, and you can sit there and shoot the targets and so forth, and you can get a score. So it's kind of a game and a ride mixed together now. So I guess for the kids that was fun. They can handle the guns and shoot the little targets. So and I guess that's okay too. Okay, we talked about the Tomb Raider ride. That was no big joy. I didn't care too much for it. I mean, it was okay. You didn't get much fun out of it because it didn't spin you that much. And it just held you upside down for a little bit, make you think you're going to get wet, and make sure that just did some things, but I didn't think it was all that great. It was just a Husk giant top spin type ride, and I just didn't think much of it. I think that was a waste. I would have much rather had the Keelboat Canal ride still there. And also, don't forget about the canoes. Remember the canoe ride that they had back in the 70s, mid-70s? They had the canoes where you can get in a canoe, a real canoe, and paddle on the pond. And they had like a little island out there. That is exactly where the Beast is built now. The Beast used to go out over top of the water, okay? And you still see the water lines from all the foundation footers for the Beast. Where it comes out of the station, you see how it goes in that big circle. Well, that used to be all water. And then there used to be like a water mill that ran with real water, live water would come down there, like a grist mill type thing, right there and off the station there. And it would have real running water coming down through there. And it was really neat. It was really themed a lot better. And then they used to have like a little cave thing up there, and used to have some like a mine shaft there to make it look like the Beast was lurking inside there. So they kind of took away some of the theming of the Beast, and they did some changes. And the Beast exit used to be in the front of the building, but now they got it where you come down the main thing there, instead of going to the left and out to the front of the building, it goes directly right now. Then they put a concrete, after they drained all the water out, they put a concrete thing out through where the water used to be, and then exit out the other side instead of going out the front. And then they cut that all off, and then now they just use it for storage area. And also they built a house over there, or a building over there for Halloween Haunt now. So that's what they did around the Beast over there. I did forget to mention that. Soak City Waterworks, 1989 was the year it was built. It was brought in to Kings Island. That was last year that I worked at Kings Island, and I'll tell you what, that was a big thing because that's what they needed, a water park. The beach water park used to, or they still have it. It still sits across I-71 over there. The beach was the big dog back then because Kings Island didn't have a water park. Well, what better way to take away the beach patrons that enjoy the beach to put their own water park in and include it in the price with admission. Now, that really helped Kings Island. It really boosted them up quite a bit because not only can you just go to Waterworks, but you can go to the dry side of the park, ride rides, or you can go to Soak City and ride water rides all day. It's called Waterworks back then when it first opened. And then, of course, with Paramount, it used to be what was it? Not Cowabunga, but what was his name? Paul Hogan with, gosh, my mind, I'm sorry, my mind's not working too good tonight. Boomerang Bay. That's Boomerang Bay. And then when Paramount left, of course, now it went back to Soak City, which is, it's a good name for it. Cedar Fair branded type name. So Soak City is okay for it, too. Winning Witches Cauldrons. If you remember that cauldron ride, it used to be a spinning like a kettle ride, and they had the pots, and you could spin it real fast, and then the whole thing would turn. It was like the dirt spinning keggers over on the other side of the park. Well, they had a Winning Witches Cauldrons, which was there for quite a few years, but now there's a little swing ride that sits there now. Boulder bumpers, like a little small kiddie bumpers, bumper car ride for the kids, boulder bumpers. The kids carousel, that used to be a character carousel with the Flintstones and Scooby-Doo and a lot of the Hanna-Barbera. It used to be a Hanna-Barbera carousel, character carousel. Now it's Peanuts now. They had a little kiddie whip ride. Gulliver's Adventures, remember that? They used to be a really cool little boat, little tiny, like a tub, like a little tub you got in, like a rub-a-dub tub thing, and you'd go through Gulliver's Adventures. That was fun. And they replaced it with a super slide, and they used to be on the other side of the park. They moved the super slide over there, took the top part of the super slide off, made it a smaller slide for the kids version, and then eventually it went away, and they put a crazy bus ride. That's what's there now. Over there, Runaway Raptor, which is their suspended coaster train or coaster there in Hanna-Barbera. Snoopy, Camp Snoopy. I'll get it right here somewhere. The little kids monorail, they got that. The kangaroo jump, the frog hopper, kite tree, the crazy sub bus, the crazy bus. The new flying scooters they got now. Plus they got that new little space buggies. How about the Hampton cars, Hampton boats, Hampton motorcycles? Those are all the umbrella type rides. Scooby-Doo, Beastie. They used to be the Scooby-Doo coaster, then became the Beastie coaster. Then it was Woodstock, or not Woodstock, but it was a Nickelodeon theme. I can't remember. I'm sorry. But then it became Woodstock Express now. That's what it is now. But that used to be the Beastie and also the Scooby-Doo coaster. When it first opened, it was Scooby-Doo coaster. Then 1979, it became the Beastie. Then they got that other little small coaster there next to the building, the big building. Firestone 500 was like a race car type drive, like antique cars, except these were like race cars. It was called the Firestone 500. That used to set in Hanna-Barbera land. They got those little electric cars. They got the little electric trains. They now have a petting zoo. And then also they used to have the little fire trucks, the Hampton fire trucks, which was an umbrella ride. And they used to have a jumbo turtle ride, or junior turtle ride, which was like the tumblebug that they used to have on the other side of the park that I was talking about in my last video. Then they got those little airplane shooters where they can shoot those little tiny airplanes that goes around. It's a little small kiddie ride. Then plus they got that big huge picnic grove. Then they had a Paramount store, remember that, talking about all the Paramount names, the movies from before. And also Whitewater Canyon. I'm telling you what, I hope that don't go anywhere. They're taking them out in these other Cedar Fair parks. They left Carowinds, and I think they're going to leave Canada's Wonderland. And I'm hoping they don't take it out at Kings Island. I hope it's there to stay. That is a good ride. The way they tied in Mystic Timbers with it, I think it's awesome. Mystic Timbers, another good roller coaster that's been added to there. What's in the Shed? I was the first one to tell everybody. Nobody would guess it. Everybody thought, oh, well, we don't know what they're building over here. And I told everybody it was going to be a GCI Woody. And you can go back in my videos and check it, and I was right. So before anybody can have any kind of date stamped material, mine's date stamped, and I was the first one to tell you that it was a GCI Woody. Before anybody even knew. I just knew because I had inside information. And then remember, well, they got the new Bat. It used to be Flight Deck. Also used to be Top Gun. It was Top Gun when it was first opened at Paramount. And then it became Flight Deck when Cedar Fair took over. And then they went ahead and put it back to the original as a throwback to the Bat. So now they call it the Bat, repainted it, which looks really nice. They did a good job on it. And it's going back to the original Bat. The original Bat, yes, I did get to ride that quite a few times. I loved it, man. I'll tell you what, it was one hell of a coaster. That was one of the best roller coasters, suspended roller coasters. Unfortunately, it was just not banked correctly, and it just could not operate. It had a lot of mechanical issues. It could not operate, could not stand to operate. I'm almost at the end of this video. It's going to stop on me here in a minute, I know. Could do the storage space. I'm going to have to do a third part, I guess, and I promise you the third part won't be as big as these last two parts. But I just wanted to go over the history with the park. And I'm going to do the third part tonight as well, so that way you don't have to wait a few days for it to come. I will tape it immediately after this one gets uploaded to YouTube. I will upload part 3 to this and go into more history of Kings Island. And I do have a lot of material here to share with some certificates that I won at Kings Island, service awards and things. And also when the park fell off the vortex, I want to talk to you about that. That happened on the first day Paramount bought the park from Kiko, Kings Island Entertainment Corporation. There was an opening day, and a park fell off the vortex. And yes, guess what? I was on it, and I was scared shitless. But anyway, I'll talk a little bit about that. And this is out of the Cincinnati Enquirer that happened that day. And yes, I did get a little bit of money out of that because of the roughness of the ride. And it really messed us up pretty bad. We didn't think it was going to make it back. But I'm going to go into that in the very next video. But anyway, tell me what you think about all these rides at Kings Island. What's your favorite rides? Which ones did you like the best? And what do you miss the most? That's the most important part. What do you miss the most out of the rides over the years? And what about the new coaster coming? The new Giga coaster that's supposed to be coming? Time will tell. Any day now, we're going to find out more details. It should be going vertical any time now. I mean, I can't believe it's been this long. I mean, they're really waiting until the last minute, but I'm like everybody else. Roller Coaster Day coming up here in August. That will be the official announcement, I'm sure. And I believe that's August 14th, I think. I'm not sure of that. I'm sorry, I'm not positive. I can't remember what National Roller Coaster Day actually is, what day it is, but it is around the middle of August. So watch for that. I guarantee it's going to be announced that day. That's what they're waiting on. Anyway, I'm going to cut it off right here, 31 minutes. And please stay tuned to part 3 of the video. Thank you.